back at it again, and we've got to talk about Chirac, aka Chicago. Yeah, that American city. Um, because, yeah, absolutely wild this past weekend. But the mayor recently said something that is pretty crazy as well. All right. With that being said, let's dive in.
We just got the official numbers from the Chicago Police Department. CPD reports a total of 109 people shot over the July 4th weekend. 19 of those people were killed. That far surpasses the numbers we saw over the July 4th weekend last year. Both the police superintendent and the mayor called the situation unacceptable. At the same time, they are sticking with their crime-fighting strategy. They say they made adjustments, including changing officer shifts based on what they saw on the holiday itself, and they reiterated this cannot be just a police problem.
These are 19 families whose lives are forever altered. And 19 families who woke up this morning without a son, without a daughter, without a mother, without a father, without an aunt, without an uncle. Over 100 people whose lives will never be the same.
The CPD numbers just released is from the time of the morning of July 3rd until early this morning. Weekend incidents included a homicide overnight in Austin. Police conducting a well-being check found a man on a kitchen floor in the 200 block of Central Avenue. He had been shot in the head. 3 men were shot outside the University of Chicago Hospital. They were standing at 57th and Cottage Grove, where someone fired at them from an SUV. 7 people were shot in one location at a park at Menard and Jackson in Austin. It started with a shootout between 2 people. Those 2 people took off. One of the victims died after he drove himself to Stroger Hospital. And the youngest weekend victim was 8-year-old Bryson Orr, who was killed in Grand Crossing, where a balloon release took place to remember him. His mother and cousin were also killed. Multiple people fired into their home at 71st and Woodlawn at 6 a.m. July 4th. 2 other children were wounded, and a 1-year-old was also in that house. All the police superintendent would say about that case was that detectives have leads and they need more tips.
We cannot bring back these children. If we want to avoid having these types of press conferences and these types of meetings again, we need every single person to step up. We need people to start coming forward. We need people to take responsibility. Help us help you.
Now, these numbers went way up, even with additional officers working over the holiday time period, and even with the police department scaling back on the number of officers working NASCAR this weekend. The superintendent was asked whether his department would be ready to handle the crowds for the upcoming DNC that is next month. He maintained that his department will be ready. The department also announced the opening of an Emergency Services Assistance Center tomorrow that will help people who've been traumatized by the weekend events, and that will be at Fosco Park on the west side. Outside police headquarters.
Yeah. Your ears weren't playing any tricks on you. 109 people had a round put in them in one American city. 109 people in one July 4th weekend. Pretty wild, ain't it? Pretty darn wild. In an American city, 109 people could have a round put in them. 19 of those people, unfortunately, aren't here to tell the story. Pretty crazy. Pretty darn crazy. You know, but what's almost just as crazy is what the mayor of this city had to say about the issue. I'm going to play 2 other clips for you. The second one is going to be the really crazy one, but here you go. Check it out.
Sir, Sarah Schulte, ABC7. I understand both of you guys were in the Grand Crossing neighborhood on Friday night, I believe. I have a question for the mayor. That is quite a few hours after the initial event. Were you out of town on Thursday?
I was out of town earlier this week.
On Thursday, on 4th of July, you were
Yes.
out of town.
Yes.
Given the fact that 4th of July is known to be a very violent time in the city of Chicago, do you think that was a wise idea to be out of town?
Well, here's what I can say emphatically, that
He's smart enough to know to get out of Dodge when these big holidays during the summertime roll around. Okay, like the 4th. He knows what's going on. He know to get out of Dodge. All right.
my work never ends. It doesn't. I accept the responsibility of 24/7 on call every day of the week. It's very seldom do I get a chance to celebrate, on a personal level. But the communications between my office, Chicago Police Department, OEMC, our state and federal partners, none of that stops because I'm out of town. Of course, once I was arrived for the entire weekend, as what has been indicated, we had an early morning call on Friday with our summer operations with Chicago Police Department, Chicago Fire Department, OEMC. Of course, I was there for Operation Wake Up and throughout the entire weekend.
That's 2 questions.
I have a quick question for either one of you on the crisis centers. We've had those before, we've covered them before, and nobody shows up. So I understand you're trying to help victims, but if no one shows up, is that the best use of city resources?
Well, there's other ways in which our partners connect with victims of violence. Our Deputy Mayor of Community Safety, as well as Glenn Brooks, they work very hard to make sure that these services and resources are available to folks. So any and everything that we do is for the benefit of people, and it is always worth investing in people. Thank you. But the fact of the matter is, where there is most violence, that's where the poverty is most pervasive. And this is not just unique to Chicago. This is all over the planet. Where there's poverty, there's destruction and terror and torment. Now, as I said, I'll finish with this. We got to hold people accountable. But you know what my ultimate goal is to transform this city so we cut off the pipeline of boys between the ages of 10 and 19 being either victims or the perpetrators. So, yeah, it is personal. Black death has been unfortunately accepted in this country for a very long time. We had a chance 60 years ago to get at the root causes, and people mocked President Johnson. And we ended up with Richard Nixon. I'm gonna work hard every day to transform this city. That's what it takes to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago, and everybody's.
So there's a couple things to address there. He's right. Where there's a lot of poverty, right? Typically, there's a lot of violence. And whose fault is that? Chicago's been run by Democrats for, 80 years. Those same schools you shut down in Chicago that you now open back up and renovated for the migrants, why didn't you do that for your own citizens? The people that pay taxes in your city, Mayor Brandon Johnson. Why didn't you do that for your own citizens? You kept those schools closed, and you and the rest of the Democrats that have been running that city for the past 80 years said you didn't have any money left. As soon as the migrants showed up, you magically had a bunch of money, enough to even renovate the schools. Okay? So I don't want to hear nothing about any of that crap. You had opportunities to build up that community and make it a great place. You made the choice not to. And I have my speculation as to why. Okay? I have my speculation as to why. And one of those things is if Democrats actually fulfilled what they always promise, right? They'd have nothing left to promise. And that's what their whole shtick is about. Oh, we're going to end this. We're going to end that. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I just need one more time to be in office, right? Like what? Huh? Don't y'all always talk about this kind of stuff? The other thing is, now I just lost my train of thought. What else? He said something else in there that I wanted to address as well.
So, yeah, it is personal. Black death has been unfortunately accepted in this country.
Oh yeah, that right there. Black death being accepted. Yeah, it's accepted by you Democrats, because the only time you complain about black death is when it's at the hands of a white person. The only time it makes front page news, and it's not just on the local news of Chicago, is if a white person does it. That's the only time that Democrats come out here screaming and yelling at the top of their lungs about any type of violence as it pertains to black people. That's the only time we've ever seen it. Can y'all name? Look, 109 people had a round put in them over the course of this past weekend in Chicago. Have you heard any mainstream Democrat talk about it? Anyone? Can anybody watching? Can any of you name any mainstream Democrat that's in the House or the Senate? Have any of them touched that topic of discussion? But I guarantee you, if it was a white person that went around and shot 5 or 6 black people, it would be all over the television. All over, wall-to-wall coverage. Every Democrat will be out here screaming about it. So it's you Democrats that have made it acceptable. You Democrats. Because the only time you talk about it is when you can garner political points from it. It's the only time. The only time. And here's perfect proof. 109 people? That's crazy. And not one mainstream Democrat has talked about it. Not one. Not a single one. Last point. Nixon caught a stray there at the end. If you didn't catch it here, I'll play it back again.
Causes. Years ago to get at the root cause time. We had a chance 60 years ago to get at the root causes. And people mocked President Johnson. And we ended up with Richard Nixon.
You mean the same Lyndon Johnson that said, I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 100 years? You mean that same guy? Silly rabbit. Goodness gracious. And it's always the fault of somebody else. That's one of the things that disgusts me about these Democrats, man. It's always somebody else's fault. It's never your own fault. It's somebody else's fault. Every single time. Every single time. Matter of fact, here's a quick question as well. Guys, when is the last time you've seen a Democrat say, you know what? Yep, I'll take that one. That's my fault. I shouldn't have did this, or I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have said this, or I should have done this, right? And shouldn't have done that. When's the last time you just saw a Democrat just come out and just, hey, take it on the chin? When's the last time you've seen it? I'll wait. Right? Probably about a minute after never. Yeah. It's always somebody else's fault. It's always Trump's fault. It's always Republicans' fault. It's always it's Nixon's fault. Like, what? You run the city. Democrats have run Chicago for 80 years. But somehow it's still somebody else's fault. Amazing. It's truly amazing. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with y'all because I just thought it was just absolutely bonkers. Goodness gracious. Wow. Y'all stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.